Foreign Minister S Jaishankar on Monday told his Chinese counterpart Wang in Beijing that the abrogation of Article 370 and bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories is India's internal matter and that it will have no implications for the line of actual control that separates the two countries in some areas for the external boundaries. In his talks with Dr. Jaishankar, Wang raised the issue of 5th August vote in India's federal legislature. The Chinese Foreign Ministry had issued a statement before Wang met Jaishankar in which it opposed the creation of the Union Territory of Ladakh. Beijing feared that it might impact the ongoing talks on resolving the boundary issue. Jaishankar also sought to impress upon Wang that Beijing should base its assessment of India-Pakistan and India-China ties on realities. Now, he said, and I quote, "Future of India-China relationship to each other's core concerns. Properly managing differences is therefore vital." Quote ends. He reiterated that India and China had agreed to a fair, reasonable and mutually acceptable settlement on the basis of an 11th April 2005 agreement on the political parameters and guiding principles for the settlement of the India-China boundary question. Jaishankar echoed these sentiments at the China-India Media Forum held later in the day. The bilateral talks in Beijing prepared the ground for Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to India for a second informal Wuhan-like summit. Remember, Xi and Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India had met at Wuhan in April 2018 for an informal summit last year. India will host the second summit later this year in October. Dr. Jaishankar had a one-on-one meeting with Foreign Minister Wang, followed by delegation-level talks and press statements by both leaders later in the afternoon. While Jaishankar spoke about strengthening people-to-people and cultural relations, Wang said that the two engagements increase cooperation on trade, economy and defence ties. Dr. Jaishankar's visit to Beijing was the first by an Indian minister after Prime Minister Modi's government was sworn in for a second consecutive term in May this year. Jaishankar served as India's ambassador to China from 2009 to 2013, the longest tenure by any Indian envoy.
And global issues.
The trade war between Japan and South Korea has intensified, with South Korea now revoking the special trade status of Japan. South Korea has two lists for its trade partners. One, countries who are signatories to the 4 major export control agreements, and 2, the ones who are not. But in a fresh move, South Korea has created a third list of countries who are signatories but continue to violate trade norms. Japan is the only country to figure in this new list. The move follows Japan's decision on the 4th of July to tighten export permits to South Korea. And from 28th, this Japan's preferential trade list either. Japan's export minister meanwhile tweeted saying that Japan was completely in the dark regarding South Korea's move. He said there was no clarity regarding how South Korea arrived at this decision. The interesting thing to note here is that Japan pulled a similar move on South Korea just a few weeks ago, and a tit-for-tat move was always on the cards.